Welcome back, friends, to Learn and Play with Asher and Abraham. Please like, share and subscribe.
Okay, let's dive deep, way deep into the prehistoric oceans. We're going to meet a creature that makes a great white shark look, well, like a little guppy. I'm talking about the Mososaurus. This thing ruled its world with a kind of power that's just hard to wrap your head around. So let's figure out what made this ancient giant the absolute king of the sea.
So you hear this comparison all the time, right? The T-Rex of the ocean. When you think of the biggest, baddest predator on land, your mind immediately goes to T-Rex. So, was the Mososaurus just that, but for the water? The undisputed champion of the ancient seas? It's a great question, a really great starting point, but the truth, well, it's a little more interesting than a simple yes.
And right off the bat, here is the number one thing you've got to know. The Mososaurus, it wasn't a dinosaur. Nope, it was a giant marine reptile. And that's a huge deal because it shows how life finds a way to dominate everywhere. You had dinosaurs ruling the land for sure, but at the same time, this totally separate group of reptiles was evolving to become the masters of the ocean. They even had to come up for air, just like a whale does today.
All right, so now we know what it was. Let's get into what made it so absolutely terrifying. Its size. And I mean, to really get a feel for this, you kind of have to forget everything you think you know about big animals today.
Okay, get ready for this. The biggest ones could grow up to a mind-blowing 60 feet long. That's about 18 meters. But just saying 60 feet? I mean, what does that even mean? How big is that really?
Well, think about a school bus. You know, a big yellow school bus. They're usually around 40 feet long. The Mososaurus wasn't just the length of a bus, it was a bus and a half. Can you just imagine that shadow passing over you? For anything else swimming in those oceans, that was a daily, terrifying reality.
Okay, but what about today's ocean heavyweights? A huge great white shark, that's about 20 feet. A big orca, a killer whale, maybe 30 feet on a good day. The Mososaurus could literally be double the size of an orca. It wasn't just a little bigger. We're talking about a whole different class of animal here. It was in a league of its own.
So, we've established it was massive, an absolute unit. But size alone doesn't make you the boss. So how did it use that incredible size to dominate? Let's take a look under the hood, so to speak, and check out the biological gear that made this thing the perfect killing machine.
Everything about this creature was built for one thing: hunting. It had this huge, powerful tail, kind of like a shark's, that could launch it through the water with terrifying speed. Then you've got these paddle-shaped flippers, but they weren't for swimming. No, they were for steering, for making shark turns with incredible agility. And the whole thing was wrapped in scaly skin, just like a modern lizard.
Okay, if you weren't freaked out yet, get this. It had a second set of teeth. Yeah, you heard me. Not on its jaw, but on the roof of its mouth. These weren't for chewing. They were for gripping. Imagine a fish struggling to get away. These extra teeth would just dig in, making it impossible to escape. There was no getting out.
And as if that wasn't enough nightmare fuel, its jaw could do something incredible. It could open super wide, almost like a snake's. This meant it could just swallow huge prey whole. We're talking giant fish, sharks, maybe even other smaller marine reptiles. If the Mososaurus could get its mouth around it, it was lunch.
All right, let's hit some quick-fire, amazing facts about this creature. First off, it gave live birth in the water. Most reptiles lay eggs, but not this one. Second, it probably used its tongue to taste the water, tracking down prey just like a snake does. And finally, its total domination of the seas lasted right up until the very end. When that giant asteroid hit and wiped out the dinosaurs, it took the Mososaurus with it. What a way to go out.
Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.